The upcoming social media ban is going to be a massive shift for under 16s, and if they aren't prepared, they could be left feeling anxious, disconnected, and overwhelmed. Paris is a speaker, workshop facilitator, and lawyer who helps students, parents, educators, and youth teams understand the social media ban and start preparing now. As a Gen Z, Paris understands the challenges young people are facing, bridging the gap between young people and the adults that support them. In this session, you'll gain understanding of the ban as well as how to support young people through it. Please welcome Paris to the stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Paris McNeil. I am so thrilled to be here talking about the social media ban. We heard quite a bit about it when the government announced it in November, but since then it's been crickets. And so starting these conversations now and getting proactive about the social media ban is how we can support our young people to get the best out of it. Today we're going to be covering what the social media ban is, what it means for you and for the young people that you support, what you can do and how you can help the young people that you service to prepare, and where to buy carrier pigeons, because I don't know how young people are going to communicate once social media is gone, but they're going to have to get a little bit more creative. To start us off, I want to know how much you already know about the social media ban. So we're going to play a game of heads or tails. I'm going to put up a statement on the board. If you think it's true, you're going to put your hands on your head. And if you think it's false, you'll put your hands on your hips, on your tail. So can I ask everyone to stand up if you're able, please? So our first statement. Once the social media ban comes into force, everyone under 18 will be banned from social media. Is that true or false? Great, we've got a resounding false, which it is. So the age that it will be 16 and under, not 18. Heads or tails, the current age you can legally make a social media account is 13. Is that true or false? Yeah, this one is true. So for most social media accounts, 13 is the minimum age you can legally make an account. Heads or tails, if you have an account already and you're under 16, you'll be able to keep using that account when the ban comes into force. Is that true or false? So it's false. It'll be a blanket ban, so if you have an account already, you won't be able to get into it in order to be able to use it. Next one, if a person under 16 uses social media when it's banned, they're going to be fined. Is that true or false? So this one, again, is false. So the police aren't going to come knocking at a young person's door and say, "You're on Snapchat and I know it." The government isn't going to be able to enforce it that way. That doesn't mean their school or their parents won't have something to say about it, but they are not going to be fined. Let's say your parents, if you're under 16, give you permission. Can you use social media when the ban comes in? Is that true or false? Yeah, correct. It's false. So parental permission won't matter. It's a blanket ban. The government has said anyone under 16 won't be able to get into their social media accounts. And finally, true or false, the ban will begin in December 2025. So this is technically false. We don't have a date yet. The earliest it could happen is December, but we're waiting on the minister to give us an actual date. Thank you very much. Take a seat. So what is it actually going to look like? This is the question I get asked most. How is the government actually going to make this happen? What they've said is that a social media platform is any platform where 2 or more people can connect online. So that's a really, really broad definition and is going to cover a lot of apps. How it's going to look is that minimum age of being able to create an account, 13 years old, has been raised to 16 under this new legislation. The government has said that all of the responsibility is on the social media companies to enforce that new age limit. And how it's going to work is young people are going to have to verify their age. They're going to have to prove that they are 16 in order to be able to keep using their social media. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. We know that each platform might do it differently. So how you verify your age on TikTok might be completely different to how you do it on Instagram. There are also a couple of ways of verifying age that have been floated. There are two that the government was thinking about when they launched this legislation. The first was facial recognition. So they had done a facial recognition pilot program that didn't have particularly good results. And you can imagine the difficulties that would happen, because the day that you turn 16, you can get back on social media. So the facial recognition software would have to be able to see a 15 and 364-day-year-old being able to say, no, they are not 16, and then the next day be able to grant them access to their social media account. So I see lots of problems with using facial recognition software. And the other method is using some kind of ID, uploading some form of ID. There are lots of problems around that too. Privacy concerns. People don't want to be uploading their passport to Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. Lots of young people who are at risk don't have access to their IDs. One thing that's come out of the US pretty recently is there's legislation in Utah that made it so that the app stores are the ones that had to verify age. So instead of uploading your passport, driver's license to Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, instead, Utah said, no, you can outsource this to the Apple Store itself. So the Apple Store, you would upload your ID to, and Google Play, and then they would distribute, yes, they're 16, no, they're not. We've got a really broad definition. So we have potentially a lot of different apps that are going to fall under this ban. Not all of these are social media companies either. So we've got the traditional social media platforms, but we've also got gaming platforms, because you think about it, places where young people can connect online. That's a lot of different places. I've even got Strava on there, because if you think about it, that's where you upload your runs. You can upload a picture, you can like, you can comment, you can follow people. That would fall in the definition of a social media platform. But the government has said we might make some exceptions for various platforms, because they recognise that messaging platforms like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp are really important and have less of those risks and harmful elements. So they might make an exception for messaging platforms, they might make an exception for gaming services, and for any apps that have a predominant purpose of being for health or an educational purpose. But what about YouTube? YouTube's on there, and YouTube is not getting an exception, but they do have a little bit more leniency. Young people are not going to be able to get into their account on YouTube. They're not going to be able to post their own videos. They're not going to be able to like, comment, subscribe. But you don't need an account to watch a YouTube video. You can just search in whatever you want to watch and watch it. So you'll still be able to watch YouTube videos, just not through your account. So we have a lot of questions that are yet to be answered. We don't know exactly how it will work. My guess is that the day that the ban comes into force, all the platforms will probably make everyone in Australia verify their age. I imagine they're going to kick everyone off. They're going to kick young people off. They're going to kick me off, you off, my 98-year-old grandma off, and we're all going to have to prove that we're over 16 in order to get back into our accounts. And for the young people who are under 16 who can't prove that, then they will be locked out until the day that they can. And we still don't know when it's going to happen. December 2025 is the very earliest, but there hasn't been a lot of talk about it, so I think it's going to be a little bit later. When I talk to young people about the social media ban, they ask me all the time, why is the government doing this to us? They didn't ask us, they didn't talk to us about it. Why is this happening? And it's because they're trying to protect young people from a lot of the harms that come from social media. So with the person next to you, for 30 seconds, have a chat. What are the negative parts of social media that you think the government is trying to protect young people from? Have that discussion now. There are a lot. There are a lot. So we have a lot of negative parts of social media. We've got the ones that everyone's talking about all the time. We've got lots of cyberbullying, we've got violent, inappropriate content, we've got the mental health impacts, we've got comparison, feeling bad about yourself, brain rot, which all of the young people laugh at, but is a pretty serious concern, what we're actually putting in and consuming. 62% of Australian teens have seen harmful, sexual, violent, age-inappropriate content. Unfortunately, that makes it mainstream. It's not an exception to the rule, it's normal. Young people are seeing things that they really, really shouldn't, and the government is trying to protect them from that content. But it's not all bad, right? Young people are using social media in really positive ways as well. If you talk to a young person, they're probably going to tell you that, no, I have a good relationship with social media. 81% of teens say that it has a positive influence on their life, and that's in a variety of areas. 58% say it makes them feel more accepted. 71% says it helps them to show their creative side. And 80% of teens feel more connected to what's going on in their friends' lives through social media. So we've got a lot of positive things that are coming and that young people are using it for as well. So I'd love you to turn your minds to that. What are the positive sides of social media? Have a chat now. So there are lots and lots and lots of positive ways that young people use social media too. And any young person will tell you that this is what they're using it for. They're connecting with friends, they're supporting each other. It's where they get a lot of their support, where they feel like they can be themselves, where they keep up to date with current events, learn new things, watch tutorials, where they make global connections and meet like-minded people. Unfortunately, when the social media ban comes in, as well as all of those negative aspects, hopefully, going away, they're also going to lose all of these positives too. So how is it actually going to impact the young people that you support? One of the really, really important things that I want you to think about is how you can build up those positive aspects offline. And it's going to impact every single one of you because you communicate with young people. For a lot of the local governments in the room, if you have an Instagram page and that's how you reach your young people, well, that's going to be a problem once this social media ban comes in. It's not going to be a viable way for engaging youth under 16. It'll still be effective for over 16, so don't throw out your marketing plans, but you've got to think about how you're actually going to communicate with young people. Don't forget, they'll still be able to text, email, write letters, and if you're really interested, these carrier pigeons, you can buy them on Gumtree for a very affordable price of $15 a bird. Absolute steal. I see everyone in this room having a really important role in educating and supporting young people through this transition. They don't know what's happening. Their parents don't know what's happening, but you can help them to get a bit of clarity on what the ban is going to look like and what it means for them. This is where I come in as well. So I run training and workshops for young people, for their parents, and for people like you that support them in order to give you all the information about the social media ban and help you to help them to prepare. I also see it as a really big opportunity for engagement because we have a chance for young people to be able to engage with your services. When social media is gone, they're going to have a lot of time on their hands. But you have to catch them at that critical point in time, because young people can fill their time really easily. We're probably going to have an exception for gaming. They'll still be able to watch YouTube and YouTube Shorts, which is pretty much like Instagram Reels. So if you engage them at that critical time when they're looking for something to do, then you have a really good opportunity to get some more young people into your reach. And so I want to leave you with this thought. How can you take those positive aspects of social media and build them up offline? That's what I want you to encourage the young people that you work with to think about and to do in the lead up to the ban. Thank you very much. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have about the social media ban.
Going to the negative impacts of social media, a lot of them were focused around consuming content. There was some stuff like cyberbullying and things like that which were based on the interactions, but it feels like a lot of the things like violent content are being exposed to different things that we don't want them to be. And even some aspects of cyberbullying, like for marginalized communities, that's like othering ideology and things like that, conversion ideology for queer folk, which is my background. Are there any provisions or is there any guidance about how people are going to manage like content coming in when there's no account that's like, can be set to be child only? Or, are there going to be provisions for like locking up that kind of more adult content to non-account holders?
Sure. So the short answer is no. In the social media ban legislation, no. The eSafety Commissioner does have a project and a report coming out about trying to make the internet a safer place. So I would have a look at that. But in terms of the social media ban legislation, no. It's just about raising that minimum age.
I was just thinking about like what impact is it going to have on the internet as a whole? Because I guess now that every account has to be verified and has to have like a name to it, does that mean that there's going to be like less bot accounts and less like accounts, faceless accounts with people saying like racist kind of stuff on the internet? Is that all going to change, or is that like can you have multiple accounts? I guess.
Quite potentially. There hasn't been very much commentary about that, and that's my view, that I think that every account is probably going to have an age attached to it. The social media companies might come up with a different way to do it, but if that were to happen, I would imagine, yes, there would be less. You could probably have multiple accounts, but a lot of young people ask me about, well, can my parent just give me their ID and I verify? I don't see how at this stage they would mitigate against that, but you've got to remember that we're talking about the most powerful companies in the world, and if they have enough incentive to clamp down on loopholes, then they will. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Hi there, I might be the radical in the room and I'm okay with that. I'm a father of 4, though I might not look like it. Can you talk to where is the position where it shifted from the onus or the locus of responsibility being on parents to not provide these aspects of things? And I'm fully against that. My boy only has Minecraft after he does 20 laps of the neighborhood on his bike. So where is the shift that it took from the government taking responsibility of this? Of course we need seatbelts, of course we need limited age in terms of drinking, all of these things that the government has put in place, but where did that shift the responsibility from parents to the government putting this? Any thoughts on that?
I think that the shift has happened, and it's a big problem for schools as well, because I think the government has gone down this route because parents were struggling to actually enforce it. You sound like the exception to me, not the rule, that young people are not or are actually waiting till 13 to get an account. The government has seen, I talk to kids as young as 7 that are on social media. And I think the government has said, we just need to do something. And I think that they wanted to be the first in the world. So they've put the onus on the social media platforms to try and make it a bit of a safer place for them to be. But I think a very important part of this is that we do continue to have conversations about parental responsibility, because there are these ways of getting around it. Lots of kids ask me, well, with the facial recognition, can I just put the camera up to my dad's face and then it'll verify it? Maybe that is an option, and it will be a little bit of responsibility on the parents to say, okay, but no. And what I try and encourage is to have a similar thought as to alcohol. Say no before 18, social media, try and say no before 16. And it gives parents an out because they can say, it's not my decision, it's the government. We're just going with the government decision. So if we can have the government, parents and schools and anyone supporting young people all on the same page, then I think we'll have less people trying to find loopholes.
Hi, I just wanted to know if the government does put the ID thing in place, have they actually considered the risk involved with 16-year-olds uploading their ID and increasing access to those groomers out there on net to their identities and age straight away, quicker?
Yeah, so there are pretty strict privacy provisions in the Act that say that if you upload it to these platforms, they can't use it for anything else. It has to be used to verify age and then be destroyed, wiped from their servers. One way that I see it happening is through the MyGov Digital ID scheme. So you would upload via these, like a trusted pathway, like the MyGov Digital ID scheme. They have the data and they say 16 or not, tick a box, basically, and then they give that data to Facebook and say, tick box, yes, 16, no, not 16. That's how I see it working, but every platform's going to be different, so we have to wait and see.
I'm 18 and I was 15 when I got social media, and while it's a year off 16, I still felt like it had quite a big impact on me. And do you feel like this is only kind of prolonging the problem? Like, instead of kids developing these issues like brain rot and body dysmorphia and a lot of those things that social media brings on and shoves down young people's throats, instead of that happening to them at 13, it's just going to happen to them at 16. Like, is there going to be more content control? Because there's a lot of really harmful stuff that is just currently, the algorithm will just throw at you and you get hammered with that. Is there anything they're going to do to kind of fix the problem rather than kind of just delay the impact?
Yep. So there's two parts to that. It is just delaying it, but by delaying it by those 3 years, you've got to remember that between 13 and 16 is a really formative time in a young person's life and in their brain development. So giving them the extra 3 years to develop those critical thinking skills that they need to figure out whether something they're seeing is AI or misinformation or not, to be able to form more healthy self-esteem and relationships is going to be really beneficial. But I would hope that the government is also simultaneously trying to make the internet a safer place. I think they have a big role that they need to play that part.
My question is, December's not that far away if it does come in. What can we do for young people now to prepare them for that if it is December or soon? I mean, it's pretty soon for kids that have been on it or young people that have been on it already for a couple of years. What would be your suggestion? 1 or 2 points of how we can help them transition? Thanks.
Absolutely. So it all comes back to education. Young people, most of them, have no idea that this is happening. When I speak to young people, they say, I thought that wasn't happening anymore because we haven't heard about it. So starting those conversations now, go back to them and say, well, what do you think about this? What are you going to do? Encourage them to think about the positive aspects of social media. Every child is different about how they use it, which positive aspects they're pulling from. If it is connecting with friends, then start that conversation and think about, well, how can we prepare you to take this offline? If you are connecting with your mates on Snapchat, how can we make it so that you can stay connected with them when this ban eventually does come in? Are you going to text each other? Great. Do you actually have their phone number? How can we make that happen? Getting them to think about bringing those positive aspects offline and build them up in the real world and get them to start practicing it now is the best way that we can prepare them. If all their friends are hanging out at the park, they're going to be less likely to try and find a loophole because they know that social media isn't that fun, but they haven't had the opportunity a lot of the time to develop and build those skills of having fun offline, making friends offline. So supporting them to do that is how we can help them to get prepared. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that this has been really useful.